War shatters lives, separates families, and destroys livelihoods. Civilians bear the brunt, trapped between fighters who fail to respect the rules of combat. Protecting and assisting the victims of war is the role of the International Committee of the Red Cross. A unique organisation, the ICRC is neutral, independent and impartial. It gives help to everyone without discrimination, regardless of politics, race or religion.
We're in a war. Bombs are coming down on us, hitting us from all sides. We're living in hell.
Getting rapid help to the sick and wounded can be a matter of life and death. At great personal risk, often deliberately targeted, health workers provide emergency care.
Job. We're here to help these people.
Fighting takes a terrible toll on medical services, destroying healthcare facilities and preventing the sick and wounded getting treatment.
There's fighting, there's shelling. People can't leave their homes because the roads are blocked. It's so difficult to bring patients to hospital in an emergency. And by the time they do manage to get through, they're often close to death.
All this puts healthcare in danger. During conflict and violence, the ICRC delivers much needed medical supplies and helps local healthcare staff treat the wounded.
You see here hundreds of thousands of pieces of bone.
The sick and wounded are treated impartially according to need.
There's no discrimination between these people. We are treating weapon-wounded patients, whether it's a fighter or a civilian, no matter which group he's from.
Although civilians have the right under international humanitarian law to be protected, every year millions flee their homes in search of safety, risking disease, hunger and abuse. To ease their hardship, the ICRC provides emergency supplies such as food and shelter, as well as installing safe drinking water and decent sanitation.
This is what it looks like. This is the difference. This is the raw water from the river, and this is the treated water that goes to the community.
Part of the world's largest humanitarian network, the ICRC works closely with the National Red Cross and Red Crescent societies who understand local conditions. In many places, without their support, it would be impossible to reach the people in most need.
The ICRC is here today together with the Libyan Red Crescent Society to provide help to this vulnerable population from sub-Saharan Africa.
Through this strong partnership, thousands of migrants were evacuated to safety in extremely difficult conditions.
Many people are arriving here, so it's getting difficult with the food and the shelter. We're trying to work on this with the local authorities and other international organizations.
In the chaos of conflict, families get separated from loved ones. The ICRC tracing network operates worldwide to find missing relatives. Reconnecting by phone brings a moment of relief.
Hello, Mum. The people from the Red Cross lent me this phone.
But nothing compares to the joy of families reunited after the trauma of separation. A tracing team has found 17-year-old Shakuru's family. He was separated from them when armed men attacked his village in eastern Congo.
In wars, huge numbers of children are separated from their parents, and it's always wonderful to see children back with their families again after such a long time apart.
But some loved ones never come home.
I haven't been able to find the dead body of my husband, not even any mortal remains. Until I'm able to see the body, I keep on hoping that my husband may be somewhere and may come home.
Under international humanitarian law, the families of the missing have the right to know their fate. The ICRC helps them seek information from the authorities. It also offers technical expertise in the exhumation and identification of mortal remains to help the surviving families. Around the world, millions of people are behind bars, deprived of freedom, cut off from family and society. Every year, ICRC staff visit 500,000 detainees in nearly 80 countries. The visits take place under strict criteria, allowing delegates to monitor conditions and to find out whether detainees are being treated humanely. All interviews with detainees are held in private, so they can speak freely. Concerns about conditions and treatment are raised confidentially with the prison authorities. This builds up trust and ensures access to places otherwise closed to outsiders. Infectious diseases can spread rapidly in prisons. ICRC offers medical expertise and technical support, working with the authorities to prevent and control the spread of disease. When conflict ends, the real struggle starts. In the wake of war, communities must find ways to rebuild lives and livelihoods. With assistance from the ICRC, destroyed homes are rebuilt. Abandoned and broken water and sanitation plants are repaired. And medical teams bring healthcare to remote communities, weakened by years of neglect. But rebuilding lives is about giving people the means to help themselves. By listening to local communities, the ICRC can find out their needs and reinforce their own resilience. With seeds and tools, people can plant crops to sustain themselves.
It's good to receive this help, because when we cultivate our fields, we can survive on what we produce.
Women, particularly war widows, are often marginalized and struggle financially. These women are part of a microcredit scheme, receiving cows to earn income from their milk and calves.
We're poor people. When I arrived here all alone with my children, we had to manage as best we could. Having these cows is the only way of making ends meet.
In Iraq, millions of men and women disabled or widowed in the conflict are left without income. A small grant from the ICRC can make all the difference.
It's better than before. Now I can make more, and I have enough money to provide for my children.
Millions of casualties of war are helped at ICRC orthopedic centres to walk and work again. And sporting events restore confidence and purpose in life.
They came into the village. They beat some people up. They even killed one person in the garden. I can't stop crying when I remember it. The houses were burned down. We watched from the other village as the flames went up.
The ICRC reminds those involved in conflict of their responsibilities under international humanitarian law to spare civilians.
You cannot go into the house of a civilian and take things. You cannot burn the house of a civilian.
The ICRC promotes the law, regulating the use of weapons and methods of warfare to all weapon bearers. At the international level, the ICRC influences policy and law that directly affects the lives of millions. International legal treaties to ban the use of landmines and cluster munitions were formulated with ICRC support. Efforts are underway to seek a new legal agreement regulating the global trade in conventional weapons.
States must no longer transfer weapons if they're going to be used for war crimes or serious violations of human rights. What's needed now is to capture this in an internationally legally binding treaty.
Hello, how are you?
Through discussions at the highest level, ICRC leaders influence governments and other stakeholders to respect the lives and dignity of people affected by armed conflict and violence. While in the field, in situations like hostage releases, the ICRC acts as a neutral intermediary between the various parties. The organization's independence builds trust and helps gain access to those in need. In a world racked by insecurity, the ICRC's presence, resolute and principled, brings hope and humanity. With your support, the ICRC can go on bringing vital help to millions across the globe who are today suffering because of conflict and violence.